Okay, hang on. I can't stand this music. I gotta turn that shit down. Okay, there. Woo! Hey everybody, Brian here. No, I'm kidding. BCB Block, YouTube, check them out. Anyways, I'm doing a just a kind of a not quite a. So the 5-speed in this is M5OD. I put it in this truck last year. A lot of you may remember that. Me and a friend rebuilt it. I installed it in the truck and haven't had any problems with it since. And I just wanted to do a checkup on it, see how the oil's doing. Been running Pennzoil Synchromesh in it ever since we rebuilt it. In fact, when we rebuilt it, we soaked everything in Pennzoil. So I wanted to take a look and see how everything's doing, what the oil looks like after, I would say we're about a half a year in, and this thing has done a lot of hills. Going back and forth to Central Oregon constantly, like once or twice, usually, actually no, once a week, to and from for the last few months actually. I think I've put over almost 20,000, no, how many miles have I put on this transmission? Over 10,000 I think. I'd have to look at my thing, but this is what was on the magnet. I was expecting a little bit from breaking in and whatnot, but also I've been RPM shifting. I'm not gonna lie, I've crashed a few gears, but I'm getting a little better at it. I'm really good at 5th gear, 4th to 5th on the highway. I get kind of lazy and I'll just go from 4th to 5th without using the clutch, and it slides right in, doesn't chat or nothing. My throttle on this is pretty sensitive. I have it set to be sensitive, so it's kind of hard to adjust the RPMs to match the speed of the truck, especially because this engine sounds like it's revving at 4,000 RPMs when it's really only at 1,500. So there's a little bit of stuff on here. I mean that's going to be normal for a manual transmission. And the last time I changed this oil was after we put the thing in, and that was what, July or something like that, end of summer. So I'll clean that off. But when the oil came out, it looked like it was just out of the bottle. It didn't look bad or anything. I'm gonna let that thing dribble. I don't even care if water gets in there. That stuff's gonna go in one of the bins. I don't know what I'm gonna put it in. It might have to stay in that thing. I need to make a filtering station so I can filter all that, get it nice and clean. And probably my thinking is I've almost got that to where it's roadworthy. I just have a few things left on it. But I'm going to use that truck since I have 2 spare injection pumps for it, and I have, well, injectors are cheap for them, so you know, 80 bucks there's a set of injectors. Oh well, not quite 80 bucks, it'd be like 100 and, it was 30 bucks an injector 3 times about 100 bucks. I don't know, I can't do math in my head right now. But anyways, I'll use that truck to burn all of that oil. There's 5, 10, 15, 20. There's another one down there. But I want to get it all filtered out. I'm going to run a water separator. So make sure any coolant or anything that's in there gets separated out as much as possible. And I'll probably run some diesel clean and water emulsifiers or whatever. And we'll use that sucker. I'm hoping that's a thirsty truck, because I want to burn this stuff quick. Because Valvoline and all the auto parts stores now will not take waste oil, at least in my area. I don't know why that is, but it is. But yeah, I want to get that rocking and rolling, because what I want to take all the garbage that's in this bed, I'm going to put it in the back of that truck and use that one to haul it off. I'm confident this thing will make it as it is to the dump, but I'm just not done boxing that thing in, but that's a whole nother video. Anyways, I'm gonna let that transmission drip out as much as possible, because I'm going to run this stuff as a test. So I have no complaints with the Synchromesh. It shifts like it should. I will say when it's cold, it feels like 3rd gear is you need to shift a little bit slower in 3rd. Otherwise it has a little bit of a, you know, just a light chatter to it. But other than that, all the other gears shift pretty good. You never had any problems getting into first at a stop or even coming to a stop. Unless I'm going like 15 miles an hour. It doesn't really like that. I need to rev it up a little bit. So what I want to try and see if it feels any different with ATF. Because Synchromesh is a little bit thicker viscosity than ATF. Not like gear lube, but it's just a hair thicker. And what I'm thinking is, and I heard this in another video where they're talking about manual transmissions with their synchronizers and fluids and whatnot. They're saying a little bit thicker oil will take the synchronizer more time to engage because it has to clear all that. Because when you go to shift, you have your synchronizer hits that mating surface or race that it rides on. Well, it has to grab the hub. Well, you got all that fluid in the way, so it's not going to grab it right away. So until it gets a certain amount of fluid out of the way, then it'll grab it and away she goes. So what I'm thinking is, what if we just run good old ATF, $5 a bottle. So we're going to give that a shot. I got 4 bottles there. I think that's all it took. In fact, I think it was 3.5 bottles. I'm not sure. But I'm going to let it dribble as much as it can out of there. So that way we're not mixing too much of the old oil with ATF. I'm going to get this cleaned off. This looks okay. I'm not seeing any big chunks of stuff. There's just a little bit of stuff. And like I said, this transmission, I put a new counter shaft gear set and a new input shaft. So those are 2 new gears that had to mate together. And of course, new bearings and everything we're still settling in. And I've actually been kind of hard on this transmission, at least with this 4VT. It has a lot of torque, especially when you get into the boost. So for what I'm seeing here, I'm not too worried about it. So yep, I just went and worked a little bit of overtime, come back, and I figured I'd take a little bit of care of this truck here and just make sure transmission's doing good. It's shifting fine, like I said. But I kind of want to keep the oil changes early on this thing. I want to make this transmission last as long as possible. And this only cost me 20 bucks at Napa. 20 bucks. So you can change it out once a year. 20 bucks into the transmission once a year. Keep her nice and happy. I'd even do this with my MP435, and it held up until I got this 5-speed in here. So, what are you doing under there? I might crawl back under there and put the plug in. And I did undo the fill plug to make sure that would come out, and it did. I actually left the fill plug in because it seemed like if you take the fill plug out, it's more air that can go into the transmission, and it makes that come out really fast and out further. So yeah, so put that plug back in there and see what that oil looks like. So no big chunks or anything. Got a little bit of something in there, but I mean, you got brass going up against hardened metal, so yeah. I mean, that's how it looked when I first changed it. Because after I drove it for a few hundred miles, changed it, it looked just like that. So, and it doesn't smell bad. It doesn't smell burnt. So, I think we're doing okay. Not burning up the transmission. So this is my setup for filling the 5-speed up. I got a drip pan there in case we start to pour out. I got a little piece of heater hose smashed into a piece of fuel hose, which is pushed into the filler hole of the transmission. This is hard to do. I don't have my tripod set up. So here, how about this? So these transmissions, you want to have them overfilled just a little bit. I think the last time I put just over 3.5 quarts of oil in this thing. If you can, just dump 4 right in. I think this is going to take 4. I really can't remember. It's actually been a while. Yeah, 4 quarts was actually just right for this transmission. It as soon as I pulled the hose out, a little bit dribble out. I was trying to dribble out the transmission, so it's filled up exactly how it was when before I drained it. So okay, I'm gonna go give her a test spin. We're all filled up, not leaking everywhere. Fill plugs in, drain plugs in, of course. Everything's snugged up, so go give her a test drive and I'll let you know how it is. Just got back from test driving it, and you know, it shifts the same, about the same. I mean, it shifts good. It's just third gear, there's a notice, just a slight, like you can just feel it just a little bit, and not all the time does it do it. It's not grinding, it's just you can kind of hear it and just feel it just a little bit, kind of, and then goes in. So, and it goes in easy. I mean, all the gears go in easy. I'm just, you know, is there a different, would there be a different shift feel between Mercon 5 and Synchromesh? And they're about the same. The only real reason for me to run Synchromesh is just for the fact that I got a diesel in front of that transmission. A little bit thicker oil, at least the way I think of it as. The thicker oil will help take up some of the shock from the engine. You know, you got a lot of, every time that engine fires, it's pounding those things. I mean, you just have to ask a Dodge guy in his MV-4500, and now he loses 5th gear with this 12 valve. That's 20 bucks. So if you got an M5OD or even a ZF5, you know, 25 bucks for just regular Merc 5, you're set to go. Or you're set. So yeah, I'm happy with that 5-speed. I mean, that was a junkyard transmission. Just did a quick refresh on it, new synchros and bearings and seals, and then put her in the truck, and away we go. And it's been good, and I've been hard on it. Like sometimes I get on and I'm making 30 pounds of boost with that 4BT, and it's held up. The only thing I'm not doing is I'm not dumping the clutch. That's when you start breaking stuff. So anyways, that will change. I think I'll do the next one end of the year maybe. I think I'm just gonna change it up once a year. I like to change oil on stuff a little early anyways, and I've done that with lawnmowers in the past, and I've had ones where they kept running. Crappy Tecumseh engine, never stopped running. It would always start every time for me. But then there are just some vehicles that are complete piles of shit, you know, like my neighbor. No, I'm kidding. Anyways, I'm done with this video. I thought I'd just give you a little update on the truck there. I mean, nothing really new with it, no surprises or nothing. Although I got some odds and ends to deal with, you know, later in the year when it gets nicer out, and we're gonna finish lifting the back end up. I need to get new wheels for that thing. Those wheels just suck. They look terrible and they shake. At 65, they shake. And I figured it out that it's the wheels. So I'm looking at this cylinder head, and I was actually I was drunk. I was out here, we were just buzzed. Adam was out here with me. We were just piddling around. And I'm looking at the cylinder head. You know, it looks good. This is actually, I think this is a recasted cylinder head. And it's been machined and everything all new. One of the things I didn't like when I first got it was you can see all this metal, all these machining shavings. So now I gotta go through and clean all this and make sure there's none of it. We do not want any of this getting into the engine. So didn't like that. And then check this out. So I'm all drunk, out here drunk, just looking at it. And what's the first thing I notice? You see that right there? So I gotta call these guys. They actually called me because I sent them an email. I was like, hey, this has got some shenanigans going on, and I can't have this. And so I'm past the return on it, but I think I'm gonna make a deal with them so I can cut my losses. Should have just, well, actually, if I would have known I was getting that white truck, I would have never gotten the cylinder head, because the way I was doing this is I was gonna get everything I needed to do the cylinder head job and just do it in a couple days, then I can just go back to work and not need a separate vehicle. Now I have a separate vehicle, so if that has to stay down for longer, it can. So the next time, I'll either, if I have the money for it, I would just get a cylinder head from Cummins, or just send the thing off to be rebuilt. And honestly, I think my cylinder head's good enough to be sent off to be rebuilt. But okay, anyways, I got sidetracked. I'm done with this video. I'm gonna go inside and relax.